My new book, Pillars for Life, A Guide to Spiritual Ethics and Practice, is now out and available for you to read and purchase. You can check out our website, willowhealing.org, to find a link, or you can find it on Amazon. We look forward to getting your feedback, and if you love it, please leave a review and share with your friends. Now it's time for the show. Welcome to Willow Healing Matters, the podcast. We are so excited to have you joining us on this journey where we explore different ways to empower your soul, whether it's healing in your kitchen or all the way up in the corporate world. Come with us as we look into different ways to heal your mind, body, and soul. Hey everyone, it's Catherine Cristani with another episode of Willow Healing Matters, and today I am joined by the beautiful Louise Samosorn. So she has had quite a journey, and her story began as a business owner and entrepreneur for over 8 years, and she was once stuck in the hustle culture and the hustle mindset around business and life. But as she began a journey of healing and spirituality around 4 years ago, it led her on a path of self-discovery, and now she gets to live her purpose, helping women reignite their purpose and build a business from a place of flow instead of push. So a big welcome to the show, Louise. And I was just reading as well that your title is a manifestation and energetics business coach, which I really love. So big welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Catherine. I'm super excited to be here.
And I guess what led you, or what sparked, only because I feel like there's a story here, what sparked the start of your spiritual journey? Because often when we're entrepreneurs, we're in the hustle and bustle, there's often this little thing that happens, and it can be very little or could be very big, and then it sets you on this new journey, right?
Yeah, 100%. And honestly, I feel that I've always been a spiritual person in some kind of sense. I've always known that I've been different from other people, the way that I've seen the world, the way that I think about the world, about myself, about other people. I have always noticed a difference there. And I didn't really know at the time that it was more of a spiritual thing than just being a different person. But then, and I've always looked, I guess I was always on a journey looking for myself. I've always been on a journey looking for myself. And got into drugs and alcohol and all that stuff quite early on in my life. And it really took over my life for quite a long time until I was probably got to about my mid to late 20s. And I'm like, something's got to change here because I knew within myself I wasn't happy. I knew there was more out there and I was really yearning to find my purpose. And I decided it was time to remove myself from the environment that I was in. And I went overseas. And I'm actually quite lucky. My mum's got a British passport. So I just scraped in at the time. I think you have to be 27 or something to get a passport from a relative or something like that. And I was able to get a British passport and I literally booked a one way ticket and I left. And the drama and life and all my habits kind of just followed me everywhere I went, really. And so I stayed there for a couple of years. I came back to Australia and then I realized very quickly that it wasn't for me to be back at home in the same town. So I was like, I'm going to Asia. And Asia really, and this was, dear, I can't even think. I mean, we're talking 15 or so years ago now. So it was quite a while ago. And that journey really took me on a bit more of a spiritual journey because Asia is a spiritual country as it is. I mean, continent as it is. But I ended up in a little town called Luang Prabang in the north of Laos. And it's so quaint and it really has a real spiritual aspect to it. And that's actually how I ended up meeting my husband because the company I work for had an office in Bangkok. And I used to come to Bangkok every now and then to see how things were going and all that kind of thing. This is when I was in my travel agency days. It all kind of went from there. And then I was actually in the North of Laos for a couple of years. And then my brother passed away. And it was quite sudden. And I had to race home to Australia. And it really just, that was when I was 30. And it really put everything into perspective for me because he was only 38 and he didn't achieve the things that he wanted to achieve in life. And it really put a lot of things into perspective for me because even though I was loving my life, living, I was a tour manager for a tour group tour company, living in a great town in a beautiful city in Laos, and I had a partner in Bangkok that I'd go and visit. It was all very romantic, and but then I was like, I wasn't really feeling, I wasn't achieving the things that I wanted to achieve, and I didn't feel like I was really feeling very fulfilled, really. And when that happened, that really put a lot of things into perspective. And that really kind of started shifting the gears for me, as in really thinking about the future and what do I want to do in my life and what do I actually want to achieve and all that kind of thing. So it was quite a significant time in my life. And then that was when I was around 30. Then Rocky, my husband, my now husband, at the time, we moved to Australia, and then we were there for a couple of years, and we actually started our own business. And that's when we started. We had a couple of restaurants. We're actually in the hospitality business. Hospitality wasn't really where my heart was, but it was a great way to get into working for myself and being more in charge and in control of my life. And I actually had such a turmoil relationship with being in business. And we just started a family. We'd just started a business. We weren't making any money. We literally had to move back into my parents' home. So there was a lot coming up from that. Because I mean, I moved out of my parents' home when I was 18, and here I was, 35, back at my parents' home. It was quite a journey, a personal journey, and a lot was coming up and coming out. And I actually started resorting back to alcohol and drugs, not hard drugs, but, and it was I was going downhill bad. Here I was on the outside. I looked like I was achieving all these things. I had two really quite looks restaurants that looked successful from the outside. Had a beautiful young family, and I was always on the go, making sure everything was happening and working, but I was dying on the inside. And I actually, this is quite emotional, but I actually remember reaching out and saying, universe, God, if you're out there, like, send me a sign, like, where do I go from here? What do I do? And do you know what? It was really late at night. Everyone had gone to bed. It was quite dark. And of course, I was sitting there with a glass of wine. I'd probably had a few by then, maybe. And my brother actually came to visit me.
Oh,
And it
yeah.
was such a profound experience. And I already believed he was around me. As I said, I've always been quite a spiritual person, and he would turn the radio on sometimes randomly through the night. So I knew he was around, but to actually come and talk to me was just a powerful experience. It really was. And funny enough, this was kind of coming towards the end of, well, not towards the end of COVID because it never went away, but this was maybe coming towards when we were able to go and do things after everyone was, confined to their homes.
Yeah.
And
No
our
wonder you went
local
through the restaurant journey too. My
Yeah,
goodness.
well, that was it. Yeah, our restaurant was struggling so bad, and we were doing everything we possibly could to keep it alive. It was a really, really tough time. And there is a spiritual church in our city. I'm kind of, anyway, it's about 20 minutes from where I live. And for whatever reason, on my phone, on Facebook, this popped up that they're having these introductory, yeah, you know how these things happen, right? And I didn't even know the church even existed. I even lived down the road from it once upon a time when I lived in the city in my early 20s. I didn't even know this church even existed. And the lady who runs it, who's now actually a mentor of mine, she was doing these 2-week introductory course over just a weekend thing, a couple of hours each Saturday and Sunday, just learning about connecting with spirit and, just being more spiritually open. And I'm like, sure, I'm open for this. That's when it really kind of started to unfold from there. Because I was there, I'm like, yeah, I feel things. And I'm like, yeah. And, and my connection with spirit was quite instant. And I'm so open that I was probably too open. And then I started learning about, so and just learning about like the chakra system and opening that up and expanding and, just all those kind of things. And it really kind of unfolded from there. And so, yeah, she actually, when we were able to do things like classes and, actually be social again without all the separation, she yeah, so she runs her classes every week. So we go there and we work as partners and we call in loved ones and we do all the practicing with that kind of stuff. So that's kind of how that was a really long-winded answer. I'm sorry, but that's
No,
kind of how
but
it all
that's your
kind of
journey.
unfolded. And then from
See,
there,
I knew it.
everything just yeah, from there, everything just kinda it was like doors kept on opening, you know what I mean? Like a door would open and I would just be open to it and I'd walk through and then something would happen, then another door would open and it's kinda all just
Mm.
unfolded from there. So I went from a very lost young woman with 0 purpose, 0 direction, 0 fulfillment in life to kind of finding my way, then going way, way back down the rabbit hole again, to now living a life of purpose and direction and love and light and fulfillment. And I get to now pass it on to other women. So it's been an amazing journey, but as you know, it's a never ending journey. So I'm
So
excited to see what's next. I'm excited.
I know. I'm in like the middle of a story at the moment. Hopefully, by the time this airs, it's done. But it's funny because I love sharing stories of wisdom and things like that. And it's like you can see the story being written, right? Like, like this is my story and this is what's going to happen. And you can see that vision of where you're heading, but you don't know all the steps. So um, I think your journey is really powerful, Louise, how you went through all these hardships and you're like, yeah, I think I found what I want to do. It's not fulfilling me, but I'm learning a lot. At least, I'm doing something. And then, what you brought up too about the cycles, right? Like first of all, the alcohol and the drugs following you when you went overseas and then coming back. Because until you face the underlying reason that you go to those addictions, you just stay in those addiction cycles. And I feel for you, it was almost numbing because you weren't feeling fulfilled. So it's like, well, I just don't want to feel anything.
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So now you have reached this point in your life and you're like, yes, I'm living my purpose. Yes, I'm feeling fulfilled. Yes, I'm currently in beautiful Thailand again because that's where my life has led me. This is why you have this beautiful background. What kind of offerings did you develop and how did they come about?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we had the restaurants. I still co-own a catering business with my husband, which we run back in our hometown, which is great. But my love, passion, and desire is my online coaching business. And that too's also taken a journey, because I pretty much all kind of in a weird way fell into it because I never in my wildest dreams ever thought I'd be an online coach, but I had such great business mentors that it kind of just became the most natural next step for me. I don't know. So yeah, so to answer your question, I do run online coaching. I do one-on-one coaching. I do manifestation and law of attraction work. My main aim is working with business women. I don't do actual business coaching as such, but I help them more with the mindset and the personal growth aspect of it, which essentially then rolls into with the byproduct of the business anyway. Because if it's not happening on the inside, it's not happening on the outside. So
100%.
it's yeah.
100%.
So I'm really, really passionate about that, and I also run international retreats as well. So again, that's also taken a journey. Last year, I did an amazing self love and wellness retreat, but my next retreat is focused mainly, well, not mainly, but more focused on entrepreneurial women, business women who just need that direction. Because I feel like you get to this point in your journey, in your entrepreneurial journey with your business, and then it kind of makes you feel like you're drowning. Because I've been there, and I'm sure I'll get there again again at some stage. But that's what the retreat's about, is planning your next 6 to 12 months in their business to really just give them some clarity. Because once you've got
Mm.
clarity, it does make the journey a lot easier and a lot easier to plan the next steps on what you need to take. I have an amazing uh, facilitator on board, Jane. She's actually my naturopath, but she has this other world, this other life of hers, because as us entrepreneurial women, we like to be multi-talented and multitasking all the time.
You can't put us in a
And she's
box.
exactly right. She's also going to facilitate. She does a lot of like recoding, and she's actually now diving quite deep into intuitive healing. So she'll be able to, just by working with you, tell you medically, what's wrong and what
Hmm.
you need to do next. And she's an amazing human being. So it's going to be really, really. an amazing retreat. So they're the offerings I have at the moment. But as you know, yeah, forever expanding. So yeah,
Yeah, and it's such a important point that you bring up. Like so often, especially when you're starting your own business, and if it's a spiritual business too, or even coaching. I still feel coaching is a form of spirituality because you are leading people
100%.
through their own life, right? So
Yeah.
and it's so different. So my background's in allied health, and I'm very good at building companies for allied health. But then when I stepped into this zone where I'm actually selling myself and my skills and, what I have to bring to the table, it's such a different mindset and it's such a different point of view. And you probably found that too from stepping from running a restaurant to coaching. It's a different thing, right? Restaurant, you're selling the food, you're selling the service, but then all of a sudden you're
So
selling
easy. Yeah.
yourself. Yeah. And my goodness, does it bring up some crap?
I was going to say yeah, it is a spiritual journey in itself. It really
Yeah.
is, And um yeah, I actually had a mentor, and he actually changed my whole course in my life, to be quite honest with you. And that's a big thing to say, because that was at the time where I was like, I felt like I was drowning, and this is probably where the whole coaching came into it. But he basically said, for things to change, you must change. And it doesn't sound overly profound, but for me at the time, I was just like, because I was just so focused on the outside. I was trying to fix our marketing and fix the menus and fix our staff and fix everything external, and going, but why am I so unhappy? Like, things are happening, and there were good things happening at the time, and we were growing, but I was just so unhappy. And then I realized, because I wasn't happy on the inside. And that's why
Mm.
it wasn't changing the way I wanted it on the outside. And it's all perception, as you know,
Yeah.
perception and reflection.
And I think, Louise, that's such an important point. For things to change, you must change. And a lot of people don't realize that our business is a reflection of us. What's happening is what you said earlier, what's happening on the inside of you is reflected on the outside of you, and people are so quick to blame things, and blame things on everything else rather than going, actually, why am I attracting this to my life? Or why am I feeling that, I have to push away money, or why am I pushing away business? Or, instead of asking those questions and bringing it back to our hearts and back to ourselves, we're so quick to learn, oh no, we got to blame something else. We got to put the blame on something else, and I just had a clarity moment then. About
I love
something,
those
but
moments.
I
I love
know
them. It put
it
you a little bit
wasn't.
off track, but
Yeah,
yeah.
it wasn't about me. It was about someone who said something to me, and I couldn't figure out why it was irking me so much, because they were blaming. They were blaming instead of taking responsibility and looking at how they can change their actions and how they can change what they were doing. They were too busy blaming all the external things so that they weren't fulfilling the role I am paying them for. So I was like, huh, I understand now. So thank you for that clarity moment accidentally.
All good.
This is how it
Welcome
works, right?
anytime.
Exactly. And I guess, Louise, it's so beautiful how you've just evolved. Like your journey is just, I just keep seeing like it's just like almost leveling up your soul every time, right? And I guess that's such an important point, because you just want to keep doing that and keep evolving. And you want, like you said, healing never stops, because it's always just what's the next layer and what's the next layer. And a lot of people I know will go, oh, when does it end? I don't think that. I think, I don't know about you, but I'm like, I get it. At the same time, I'm like, I don't want to do this stuff again. So I rather get it done this lifetime. So I'm not passing that karma on to the next.
100%. And like, I think it's exciting. Like, I used to be that person. I actually used to be that person who would say, what's the point? What's the point of life? Like, what's so hard? Like, why are we even here? What's the point in this? And I really did feel that way. And now I'm like, I love the breakdown before the breakthrough. And I really actually get excited. I'm like, come on, throw it at me. I've got it, because I know the bigger the breakdown, the bigger the breakthrough, and the bigger the next level up is going to be. And, I know you're kind of going through a similar thing at the moment. And I just went through it the last 3 months. Like, I literally went through a whole ego death. because I'm like, I was like, oh, I know who I am, I know what I'm doing. And then I went through this whole identity shift, and I was like, what's going on? I don't know who I am anymore, or what I'm doing is right. And, but you've got to just roll with it and go with it and trust that the universe is leading you in that direction for a reason. And then there's always going to be the next great thing on the other side of it, but you just got to trust the journey.
100%, Louise. And I love that you've gone through identity shift as well. Like, I think since November last year, I've been through six. And I'm like, and it's just like, okay, what inspires me now? And that's the part of the journey too. It's like, all right, I've shifted. Now what inspires me? My values have realigned. My values have shifted. Who am I after I strip this off? And it's so important to have that support and coaching. And I think that's both of us feel that way. You do need the support system around you for different reasons, for different things. But, having a coach to go to and say, what's going on here? I thought I had this figured out. And, my coach said to me, you don't have that many value shifts that quickly. Once you know your values, they're your values. They change a little bit, but not as quickly as yours. It's like, but you are peeling so many belief systems off, that that's why you've gone through so many identity shifts, because it's like layer, 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 layer. And you're like, oh, because sometimes we can't see it ourselves, and having that person to talk to so that we can get that reflection back can be really powerful in itself.
Yeah, 100%. And just even knowing that it's okay. It's not bad.
Mm,
It's not
mm.
wrong. What's happening is okay, and it's not something to beat yourself up about. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong. They think, "Oh, I shouldn't be doing this," or, how dare I allow myself to rest for 2 days on the lounge, like, because I
Guilty.
used to be that person. Yeah, I used to be that person where I wouldn't let myself rest. And actually, probably about 3 years ago, I had my first proper breakdown where I literally was on the lounge for like 2 weeks. I had my laptop beside me on the floor because I'm like, no, I need to work. That's what I do. This is all I know. And I was like really beating myself up so bad for having this, for allowing my body to rest. Like, how crazy is that?
Mm.
And I think, yeah, so just letting people know that what they're going through is okay, and it's not forever. It's just a moment. It's just a season. I like to call them seasons. I mean, even with mothers with children, they're like, oh, they're
Mm.
just really stressing me out and they're not doing the blah, blah, blah. I'm like, it's just a season. They'll get through it. They will change. You will change, and it will all be okay. But yeah, just having somebody there just to let you know that everything's going to be okay, everything is okay, and not to beat themselves up about it is just such an important part of the process of helping, yeah, supporting somebody.
Yeah, I have a really funny story about the resting thing, right? So I'm resistant to rest because I've I've worked really hard for a long time, and I'm at this point in my life where I actually quit my job, following my intuition, and decided, no, I'm going to be a mum. That's my focus right now. So, and that's why I have podcasts at 8:30 at night, because I know my little one's normally 90% of the time asleep, right? So at the same time, the other week I was exhausted. It was before my birthday. And if anyone understands, you kind of go through a purge, a soul death, mini soul death before your birthday, usually the week or two before.
Mhm.
So I was really unwell. And I was tired, and I was like, oh man, I was like, I just need to nap. And then my body's like, you need to nap. So I fell asleep on the lounge. My son's like sitting on top of me watching Snoopy, and I woke up and I was like, oh my gosh, that was really good. My body, I really needed that nap, what's going on? And I go check my emails, and someone had subscribed, and like I had a paid subscriber. I was like, oh, that's cool. Haven't had one of those in a while. Then I checked my bank account. Someone had paid a deposit to come on my retreat. I was like, oh, anything else happen while I was asleep? And then I get this message from this person who I've been trying to get to pay me for a year. And he said, oh, by the way, like, we can probably pay you now. And I was like, oh, is this because I rested? And my coach is like, no, it's because you did all the work and now you're allowing it to receive, because
Yeah.
so often that's my big message, like thing at the moment, is learning to receive, learning to
Hmm.
receive, because especially when you're a business owner, when you're a mum, when you someone that gives and you want to serve other women, empower them, you just give, you give, and you forget to actually go, oh, can I have something back now? Can I receive? And I'm open to receiving. It's not an expectation, but at the same time we forget to ask, yeah, I'm going to allow and receive now.
And that is powerful. Like, that is part of the most powerful part of the process. That was a mouthful of manifestation, really. And we forget it. And it's just the easiest part. Release all control and allow the energy to come in. It's wild. And you're right. As mothers, as female entrepreneurs, as just women in general, we just are so obsessed with being in control and, trying to be the best and perfect at everything and keep it all under control, But once we let that go, it's amazing what the universe allows you to let in. It is. So I love that. I love that.
I know, but I'm just like, is it because I napped?
Yes, it is. You should do that more often.
You should. As we start to finish our time together, Louise, I ask the guests that come on the show, if you could heal or change something in the world, what would it be?
Oh, that's deep.
I
That's
know.
really deep. Look, I yeah, I just wish all children in the world could just have nothing but pure love and joy, because that's really where it all starts from. And yeah, I really think it would be a different world if we could all just be nice to each other and just treat each other with respect and, treat ourselves with respect because that's where it all starts. It all starts with self-love. But yeah, I have a massive soft spot for children and I just want them. I get in trouble with my husband all the time because he's like, we need to be more disciplined. But I'm like, be happy. But yeah, in all seriousness though, like, yeah, love and joy, really. Love and joy. Everyone deserves it. Everyone.
Yeah, definitely. And there is something magical about children, right? Like if you can just tap into that curiosity and the wonder that they have as children and bring it back into your life, magical. I'm the one that takes the kids out and we go have happy. I used to be the one that would prefer to talk to the kids at social gatherings than actually talk to the adults. I don't know about you. I had more powerful conversations with
100%.
the
Yes.
4-year-olds.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they're not bitching about somebody else, right? They're just
I
cool and
know. They're
open and
like,
honest and
yeah, yeah. They're
yeah.
like, do you want to color Olaf with me? I'm like, he's white. My Olaf's not white. And I'm like, okay, we can make you whatever color you want.
Yeah. 100%. How cool are they, right? So
Exactly.
cool.
Exactly. And where can people find you, Louise, if they want to contact you or come work with you?
Yeah, so I'm on Insta, Facebook, so just under Louise Samosorn Coaching, and yeah, they're my main channels.
Beautiful. I'll make sure to put those in the show notes so people can come and find you. Easy peasy. So
Perfect.
thank you for coming on, Louise, and sharing your journey. And thank you for just being inspiring and learning how to choose yourself and come back to you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's a real honor. Yeah, I'm happy to come back anytime. It was great chatting with you, and I know it's going to be amazing to listen to. So can't wait till it comes in January, I think you said.
In January. Yeah. So if people are
Yeah.
listening to this, it's January. Happy New Year. Awesome. Thanks, Louise.
Thanks, Catherine.
Thank you for listening to Willow Healing Matters, the podcast. We have so much love and gratitude that you have taken the time out of your day to empower you on your healing journey. The views shared by the person being interviewed might not necessarily reflect that of the host and should be used at your own discernment. Trust what resonates for you and follow your heart and soul guidance. If you have any underlying medical conditions or mental health issues, please consult with your healthcare provider before pursuing any of the recommendations. Likewise, you can always contact the person being interviewed to find out more information. This can be found in the show notes. Remember to activate, align, heal, empower, and find love in everything that you do.